Hello and welcome to the fourth installment of Arts for Learning Connecticut's virtual showcase series. After today, there are two more virtual showcase presentations at varying times and dates, all culminating on November 10th. Please visit aflct.org/showcase for dates, times, and registration information. All showcase presentations run around 2.5 hours, so you can tune in and tune out as it works for you. We are hosting these on Zoom webinar as well as Facebook Live. What you will hear today are 10 to 15 minute snippets of the virtual programming some of our artists are ready to deliver to students. There will be time for Q&A, so we urge you to type questions into the Q&A or the chat at the bottom of your screen. Now we will go over to Lorraine, our program manager, to introduce our first artist.
Thanks, Alex, and welcome, everyone. Our first artist today is Wendy Kerner. Wendy began playing the harp at the age of 7 and started performing educational programs while a student at Juilliard, where she received her Bachelor and Master of Music degrees in harp performance. She maintains an active teaching studio in Wilton, Connecticut, and her students have won numerous awards for harp performance. She is also an adjunct professor of harp at Sacred Heart University. Wendy is the founder and director of the Lyrica Summer Harp Music Program, the co-president of the CT chapter of American Harp Society, and the principal harpist with the Norwalk and Ridgefield Symphonies. Wendy has worked with Arts for Learning for many years as a solo artist and with groups themselves and the Amazing Math Wizards. Wendy has presented in New York debut in Carnegie Rectal Hall as the winner of the Artists International Competition. She has performed throughout this country and abroad, performed at the World Harp Congress in Paris, France, and Seattle, Washington, and played for the Prime Minister of Ireland, Queen of Thailand, and other dignitaries. Her CD, Sounds of Sane, with flutist Donna Malnovich, is available on the Doulos International label. Take it away, Wendy.
Kerner, and that's my harp. And that's some special music from a wonderful story that's told many, many times in December with dance. It's a ballet, and the music is by Tchaikovsky. Do you know the name of that ballet? Maybe you've seen it or danced in it, or some of your family has. It's the Nutcracker. Maybe that's what you were thinking. It's a wonderful story full of magic, and I think the harp adds something really special to that. I love that about the harp. I love that about this time of year with all the magical stories and all the magical music. And I love the way the harp can tell stories or add to the stories. And the music can help us celebrate. It can give us all sorts of special moods and feelings to add to the holidays. It can also tell us about the places it's from and the traditions and cultures and the way the holidays are celebrated. Say, do you think music could also show us hot or cold? Maybe that's a little different concept or seems like it's kind of a strange idea. Well, I'm going to play a little bit of two different Christmas carols. One of them is from a place where the weather is a little bit colder, and one of them is a place where the weather is quite warm. So see if you hear the difference and hear which one you think is from which place. Here's a little bit of another one. seemed colder. To me, I can almost feel a winter wind, a chill wind as I'm playing that. And maybe you've heard that carol before. It's called Carol of the Bells, and it's from the Ukraine. And in the Ukraine, the average December temperature is 27 degrees. That's below freezing, so you better bundle up. The other one is a Puerto Rican Christmas carol. In Puerto Rico, the average December temperature is 77 degrees. So it's a lot warmer. And it'd be fun to talk about the traditions of both of those places and some other traditions around the world for Christmas time. But now, what do you think this is? Anybody tell me? Did I hear somebody say a dreidel? That's what this is. It's called a dreidel. And what holiday is this used in? If you said Hanukkah, you were right. The Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. So the dreidel is used to play some special games at Hanukkah time. Now I wish we could talk more about the history of Hanukkah and some other wonderful Hanukkah music and some of the ways that Hanukkah is celebrated. But today maybe we'll just focus on one piece of music that was written about the dreidel. Now, what kind of motion does the dreidel make? Did you say that it spins like a top? That's exactly right. So if you're writing a piece of music about the dreidel, you might want to capture that spinning quality. Do you think it should be fast or slow? I think it should be kind of fast. And then maybe at the end, the way the dreidel slows down as it's finishing up its spin, it could slow down too. So let's see if you can hear that in this special dreidel song. What did you think? I like the spinning sound in there. I think they captured it quite well. Say, what's another holiday that's celebrated in December? Did you think of Kwanzaa? That's the one that I was thinking of right now. Kwanzaa is a holiday that's celebrated for 7 days towards the end of December, and it celebrates African culture and heritage and unity. So let's do a song, or a little bit today of a song, a Kwanzaa song. Now, lots of music in Africa has a wonderful beat, wonderful rhythm, often using drums. So how about if we clap a rhythm? I'm going to start it, and then maybe you could join in with me. Here's the rhythm. Can you join in? I'm going to knock it on my harp. Together or had the full show online, then some of us could be clapping, some could be playing, some could be singing. I'd teach you the words of the song, and we could talk a little bit more about Kwanzaa and how it came to be and how it's celebrated. Another fun holiday. So much joy in these holidays at this time of year. It's a wonderful thing to celebrate, to share that. And I love sharing the music and sharing the thoughts of all the people around the world celebrating in special ways. So if we had the full program, we'd also talk about Eid. That's an Islamic holiday that's celebrated at this time of year, at the end of Ramadan. We could share some of the music and culture of Eid. And maybe we'd also share some more Nutcracker music, talk about all those celebrations and cultural traditions, sing some songs together. And I'd love to hear about your cultural traditions, how you celebrate the holidays and what your family does. Maybe you know some countries that those traditions came from. That would be fun to share. Well, thank you so much for listening today and being a part of this program. Hope to see you again. Hi, I'm Wendy Kerner. And this is a little taste of my program, A Harp and Its Magic. Have you ever wondered how an instrument came to be? How it was first invented? Well, I'll give you a hint about the harp. That was over 5,000 years ago, and the harp soon spread to cultures around the world. So we'll explore that and enjoy music from all around the globe. I love how varied music is, and I like thinking about why a composer might write a piece and how it makes us feel. I'm going to play part of a piece for you now, and maybe you can think about that. Could it be a lullaby? Hey, what is a lullaby? A song to make a baby go to sleep. Or maybe this could be a dance, and you'll feel like getting up and dancing with me. Originated in Argentina and South America and was influenced by dances from Africa. Music can show us a mood. It can tell us about a place or a person or an event. It can tell a story or help to tell a story. In the full show, we'll work on a story together with words and special sounds on the harp. Let's do the beginning of that story now. Here are the first words. It's a warm summer night, and we feel the wind. Can you say that with me? It's a warm summer night, and we feel the wind. I'm going to start it and see if you feel that in the music. That song uses lots of special effects, special sounds on the harp. We can knock on the harp. So we'll explore those sounds, how they're created, why they were created, the mechanics of the harp and the structure and how sound is created with the harp, the physics that make that possible. So we'll hear music from around the world, and maybe we'll end by singing a song together. Popular song that you know, or perhaps happy birthday, because it's fun to celebrate with music and fun to celebrate with the harp. Well, thank you so much for listening today, and I hope I'll be seeing you soon.
Wow, that was wonderful, Wendy.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful, such a beautiful instrument. We have some questions for you.
Terrific.
When did you first start performing educational programs?
When I was still a student at Juilliard, I performed a bunch of educational programs through the Lincoln Center Student Program. And then when I graduated, I started working with Arts for Learning. So I've been with you for a long time and really enjoyed performing all around Connecticut and into New York and Massachusetts, and probably been in most of the towns in Connecticut.
Yeah. Excellent. What are some of the reactions that you get from the kids when you play the harp and when they get to touch it?
Well, it's really fun to share it with them. This is a full-size concert grand harp. It has 47 strings. It weighs 85 pounds, and it's 6 feet tall. So it's an impressive instrument, a beautiful instrument. All those varied sounds it can make. The kids really, really enjoy seeing it and hearing it and say things like, it's so awesome, so magical, it's fantastic. So it's really a lot of fun to share with them.
I know you play in schools, but what other venues do you like to perform in?
Often play in libraries or senior centers or retirement communities and museums, all sorts of different venues and for different ages as well. It can tailor the programs to work for different ages and for a full family program. So that's a lot of fun too.
Do you have any special moments that happened at schools that you'd like to share?
You know, there's one story that I would love to share with you. I was playing a program, this is a few years ago, and I played a piece by Claude Debussy, an Impressionist piece. And the piece is about a girl. And I asked the students to think of what he was thinking about this girl, if he liked her, what she might look like. So when I finished playing it, there was a boy in the back of the room wildly waving his hand, and he was probably about 11 or 12. And as you know, that's an age where sometimes it's hard to get students to ask questions. So I called on him and he said, she was beautiful and he loved her. So that was a special moment.
Wow. What are some of the reasons you like to present these educational programs?
Well, moments like that are really amazing, and seeing how students relate to the music and see the feelings that music can bring up or express, or that it's a way for them to express their own feelings and to share that. Sometimes people say that music says the things we can't say or that are hard for us to say. So what a wonderful thing to explore with students that they could use as a performer or just in their life. And because I do lots of multicultural music from around the world and talk about holidays from different cultures, different religions, it's a wonderful way to think about those different places and to think about the special things about them and hopefully think about appreciating them and tolerance and understanding. So there are lots of great things that the programs can do and share.
We have our last question. You mentioned that you talk about the physics and sound of how it is demonstrated on the harp. Can you give us an example of that?
Sure. Pitch, what sound we make on a string, is determined by three different factors. The length of the string, how long the string is, the thickness of the string, and then how tight the string is. So you can see on the harp that I have short strings up here and very long strings at the bottom. They're all at about the same tension. They're all strung about the same way. They're pretty tight, like a tennis racket. But going from short to long gives us a lot of different sound. And also, they're very small at the top, and you can see down at the bottom, they're quite thick. So we have our high notes way up here. There's a really high note, and quite low down here, all the way down. So we can talk about the way those sounds are made. And in that piece I played for you a harmonic. That's a really interesting physical property, because when we play a harmonic on the harp, we're cutting the string in half and creating a sound with only half of the string. And that makes it 1 octave higher. So if I play this string normally, and then I play my harmonic, I'm playing a totally different sound. So that cuts the sound waves, changes the sound waves. We could talk a little bit more about the sound waves and the physical property of how all the sounds are created. So another great thing.
It's always a pleasure to see you. And I'll turn it back to Alex. Have a great day, Wendy.
Great. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. That was awesome. The next artist we have for everyone today is Sally Rogers. Sally began her career as a full-time touring musician in 1979 after encouragement from a legendary Canadian singer. That was followed by an invitation to appear on A Prairie Home Companion. She appeared more than a dozen times on that show, which launched her performing career. Her travels have since taken her to Europe, China, Hungary, Poland, England, Scotland, and all over the United States. At the heart of Sally's work is traditional and contemporary folk music. Her music is like a quilt. made up of soul-stirring ballads, messages of hope, knee-slapping dance tunes, and gentle lullabies. As an accomplished songwriter, Sally's most beloved songs, Lovely Agnes, Circle of the Sun, and What Can One Little Person Do, have become staples in the folk world, sung in coffee houses and kindergartens, at bedsides and campfires across the country and abroad. Sally is a nationally renowned singer-songwriter and recording artist with numerous awards for her work. Her engaging workshops and residencies utilize music and visual art, and they are carefully crafted with educators to impact learning in a broad array of curriculum topics that impact the Common Core in language arts, science, and math. Without further ado, Sally Rogers.
Hi, I'm former state troubadour Sally Rogers, and I'm a teaching artist with Arts for Learning Connecticut. My residencies can be tailored to your curriculum, and they can include everything from songwriting, music and movement, to quilt making. While arts integration is my specialty, today let's focus just on songwriting as one of the many tools that you can use to enhance learning in the classroom. Songwriting teaches students at many levels: research, language skills like vocabulary building, rhyming, retelling stories. Songwriting can also be used to reinforce or to assess student learning in any curricular area. I'd like to share some snippets of songs that I've written with students to illustrate my point. The students wrote the lyrics for these songs, and the melodies were either chosen from existing tunes or I composed them for their songs. Students could also compose the melodies if there's enough time in the residency to do so. So I'll start with Mrs. DeRocher. Her 4th grade class at Jack Jachter Intermediate School in Colchester was studying fractions. So they started with a beloved recipe and spun out a story of what happened to the cookies from the recipe after they were baked, causing them to have to recalculate all of the ingredient amounts that they would use. Here's just part of it. I have a recipe astonishing to eat, a shortbread that can't be beat. You use 1 stick of butter, 5/4 cup flour, 1/4 cup sugar, 1 pinch of salt. Bake at 325 for 20 minutes, maybe 25. I could eat 105. I am hosting a party, 6 people will be there, so I made these cookies to share. When I baked them, they burned, then I dropped them on the floor. The dog ate enough for 4. I went to the kitchen, but I didn't laugh. I only had ingredients for half. I had 1/2 stick butter, 5/8 cup flour, 1/8 cup sugar, 1 pinch of salt. Oh, bake at 325 for 20 minutes, maybe 25. I could eat 105. You'll have to wait to hear the whole rest of that song. But we'll move on to Mrs. Barnett's 3rd grade class at Jack Jachter. They were studying earth science and the theories of plate tectonics and continental drift. They were fascinated with the Ring of Fire, and they chose the tune of Jingle Bells to write this song, which they called Boom Volcanoes. Chorus goes, up and down, all around the earth. Continents are forming as volcanoes all give birth. Earthquakes here, earthquakes there, round the Ring of Fire. Continental plates collide, building mountains higher. Round the Ring of Fire, volcanoes everywhere. Some of them explode, lava in the air. Magma round Earth's core, pressure building up. Continental plates abduct, volcanoes will erupt. Oh, up and down, all around the earth. Continents are forming as volcanoes all give birth. Earthquakes here, earthquakes there, round the Ring of Fire. Continental plates collide, building mountains higher. Well, the 3rd grades have a lot on their plate. They also have to learn to retell folk tales and other materials in their own words. This third grade retold the story of Cinderella after having read multiple versions from all over the world. They had to identify the important elements that made the story recognizable as a Cinderella tale, and then they transformed all those elements to fit their new idea. In this case, the heroine was a turtle. And here are the first and last verses of their new version, but believe me, there's an awful lot of excitement I'm leaving out. Shy turtlerella, fly turtlerella, shy turtlerella, come out of your shell. One day on a beach, shy turtlerella, her evil stepsisters and vain stepmom received a note in a shell that a crab had delivered, saying, please come to the royal ball. You can't go to the ball, your shell is too dirty. We're going because our shells are so purty. We'll see Prince George and we'll do a curtsy, and you will stay home and you'll sweep the shore. Shy turtlerella, fly turtlerella, shy turtlerella, come out of your shell. Well, then a whole lot of Cinderella stuff happens, and finally come to the last verse. You can marry Prince George, the delivery crab said. Shy turtlerella said yes, oh yes. Her sisters were abducted by alien sharks. The unicorn brought her winged dress, and it was made on a 3D printer earlier on in the song. They happily lived at the royal bog. Her sisters were gone in the alien fog. They had 20 babies, all on a log. They toasted their marriage with tasty fish nog. Shy turtlerella, fly turtlerella, shy turtlerella, come out of your shell. Well, the town of Lebanon was celebrating its tercentennial, and they invited me to write songs with fourth graders. And by the way, I can write songs with any age group, from kindergarten, even preschool, all the way up through high school. But this group here happens to be third and fourth. I can write songs with fourth graders, and these were going to be based on oral histories that the kids collected from elders in their community. They also wrote songs based on primary source documents, some which they brought in and some which we borrowed from the Historical Society. This song was based on the story of Grandma Lily, who had always wanted to vote, and at the age of 100 was the first woman in the town of Lebanon to register to vote in 1920. Sadly, she died 6 weeks before the election. The students were deeply disappointed to hear this. So then I sent them off to research how many of the women who met in 1848 in Seneca Falls, New York, to demand women's rights to vote actually lived to see the 19th Amendment passed. Well, they discovered that only one woman, Charlotte Woodward Pierce, lived that long, and she was able to register to vote, but she was sick on election day, and so she didn't get to vote. Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton, Lucretia Mott, all of these, many others who we associate with the suffrage movement, they passed before the 19th Amendment did. The lesson, you never know what the fruits of your labor will be. And as Susan B. Anthony said, failure is impossible. And it's that quote that the kids used for this song. Susan B. Anthony was a suffragette. We still follow her silhouette. She fought for women's right to vote with every word she wrote. Failure is impossible, especially if you try. They won the fight for women's rights long after they died. Grandma Lily was a farmer's wife. She wanted to vote her entire life. In 1920, she registered to vote, Lebanon's woman of note. Failure is impossible, especially if you try. They won the fight for women's rights long after they died. Grandma Lily came so close, she I would love to come into your classroom after this pandemic is over and write songs with your students. And I'm also available for professional development workshops where I can teach you how to use songwriting in your classrooms. And I can do that virtually as well as in person. You can write everything from little ditties for transitional times to full-length ballads like Cinderella or songs to assess what students have learned. I've run into some of the students that I've worked with over the years, and before they even introduce themselves, they've started singing the songs that they wrote with me. If you sing it, the learning sticks. Thank you very much.
That was awesome. It was really, really great to see all the different students, their work. That was so neat that you were sharing that with us. So we have a few questions for you, Sally. And I love your background, by the way. It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks.
All right. So what is the difference for your programming between a residency and an assembly?
Well, an assembly program is a performance in front of huge groups of children. And a residency in most situations for me can be anywhere from a 1 day, 1 hour, 3 hours, like a morning or an afternoon or just an hour even. Usually in this case, songwriting is what we're talking about. Or it can go for days. I've had 10-day residencies. I believe the Lebanon one was 10 days, but those kids also during the residency collected oral histories and did a lot of research in addition to the songwriting. So that's why it was quite a bit longer. But we can write a song in pretty quick time and have it be connected to the curriculum.
That's great. So how long do you are residencies, and how do you kind of formulate them?
Well, they can be anywhere, like I say, anywhere from just a very short thing to a lengthy one. And it depends in part what the teachers are aiming to accomplish in that time. The longer ones would include things more like more research and usually it's, I will work with one class at a time, but often like at Jack Jackter, I worked with 11 classes, I believe. They had 11 third grades. So the residency was long. It was like 11 or 12 days, but I only saw the kids maybe 3 times because, it was all divided up amongst them. So it totally depends on the school and on, what they want to get accomplished.
Of course, of course. How long are your professional development workshops, and what types of things do you tend to cover there?
Well, I can cover whatever a teacher or a school really wants to have covered, but my specialty is arts integration. I have my master's degree in arts integration from Lesley University, and so I love to show teachers how you can use arts strategies to accomplish all kinds of language arts goals, science, math, just about anything. And I have done residencies where it'll be an after school kind of thing when teachers have their teachers meeting on Wednesday afternoons or whatever. And, it'll be only an hour or an hour and a half. But it can also be a weekend, or it could be half a day or a whole day. I've done different ones. One of the residencies that I did recently that I really love to do and would love the opportunity to do again is about sound and how sound affects our students and what we do with sound in our culture and what role does sound play in our culture. And it's everything from advertising and so forth to noise pollution. How does it affect animals? How does it affect people? And doing some songwriting and writing soundscapes, making soundscapes as part of that. That's a really, really fun one and very provocative, I think, also in terms of how we experience and use sound in our classrooms.
Yeah, absolutely. Some overarching themes there, and what an arts integrated topic and large question that is. That's wonderful. I'd like to talk to you more about that. So thank you so much, Sally. It was really nice to see what you have to offer and to talk with you, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you, Alex.
Of course. Whoops. Before we move on to the next artist, we just want to remind you where to go to register for the remainder of the virtual showcase series. Please remember to visit aflct.org/showcase to register for the final 2 virtual showcases. Simply click the date that you wish to register for, and it will bring you directly to the online form. There is also the option to tune in to Facebook Live as well, if that is easier and more convenient for you. The next showcase is next Thursday, November 5th, from 10 a.m. until 12:30 p.m. I'm going to pass it up back to Lorraine to introduce the next act.
Thanks, Alex. Next, we have Nicolas Carter. He's from a totally different part of the world. Nicolas Carter was raised in Paraguay, where he learned to play the Peruvian harp, the national folk instrument. He has been composing, recording, and performing harp music for more than 25 years and has recorded nearly a dozen albums in the United States, Europe, and South America, both as a solo artist and with Latin American and world music ensembles. He is often a featured concert performer and master teacher at the national and international harp festivals. Nicolas holds a Master's of Fine Arts degree in theater directing from the University of Minnesota and received a Fulbright research grant in France, where he was a Fulbright scholar in Uruguay. I'm happy to introduce Nicolas Carter to the stage. Take it away.
Hello, hello, hello. This is an instrument that's called the Paraguayan harp. And one of the things that I learned to do as a child when I learned to play was to improvise a lot of music. So I want to tell you a story of something that happened a very, very long time ago. And I'm going to improvise. That means I'm going to be creating the music as I tell you this story. Now, this happened a very long time ago. Whoa. I know a harp player before me said about 5,000 years ago. Can you imagine what life was like about 5,000 years ago? Woo. Back in those days, there were no cars. There were no cell phones. No. There was no electricity back in those days. You couldn't just turn on a light. No, people lived in very small homes. The walls were made out of mud. The roofs were made out of straw. And if you were hungry back in those days, you couldn't just go to a grocery store and buy food. If you wanted to eat meat, you had to go hunting. This is a story of a family of hunters. And the youngest little boy in this family, his name is Hanish, and he's very special. This is his story. Now every morning, Hanish would wake up very early before his mom and his dad, and he would climb up a little hill and look at the sun rising over the horizon. Oh, what a beautiful time of the day. And do you know why he loved this time of the day so much? Did you know that when the sun is coming out, that's when the birds sing the most? And Hanish loved to listen to sounds. Called Mama Bird. Responded baby birds. Called Papa Bird. Responded baby birds. And everywhere Hanish went, he would listen to the sounds of nature. So if he walked by the creek, he could listen to the water rushing through the rocks. Or if he walked among the flowers, he would listen to the bees. Now one day he climbed up a tree just to listen to the branches blowing with the wind and the leaves singing like a chorus. And all of a sudden he heard the deep voice of his father calling him. Hanish, come down, my boy. Today is a very important day, because today I'm going to take you hunting with your older brothers for the first time. Oh, look, Hanish, when I was your age, my father took me hunting for the first time. And listen, I made a little bow and arrow just for your size, and I'm going to teach you everything I know, and you'll become a great hunter like me and your father. But Hanish didn't like the idea of going hunting. Grandma liked to see the dead animals. So he turned around and he looked for his mother. She was nursing his baby sister. Mother, do I have to go? And she whispered, go with your father and your brothers now. So little Hanish grabbed his little bow and arrow, and off he went with his father and his brothers, down the narrow paths of the village, into the hills. And they walked and walked down the hill into the forest. And then they found the banks of a river where there was a lot of green grass, and they hid behind a big tree. Shh, don't make noise, whispered the father. You're gonna scare the animals. So the boys were very quiet until suddenly a deer approached where they were waiting. And it got closer and closer. The father whispered, boys, get your bows and arrows ready. And right as the deer was bending his head down to take a drink of water. Now the father, he was the tallest and the biggest, and he had the biggest bow and arrow. And when he let go of his, it sounded like this. What's that deep sound? Said Hanish. Now that was followed by the bow and arrow of the middle brother. It was not quite as big as the father, so it sounded more like a pluck. And then that was followed by the bow and arrow of the other brother that was a little bit smaller, and it wasn't quite as low. It sounded a little bit higher, more like this, more like a click. Hanish forgot about the hunt. He was just thinking about the sounds coming from these arrows when they all looked at him and said, Hanish, let go of your arrow. Now, since he had a very small little bow and arrow, his sounded very high, like a click. Well, they caught the deer, and they had to carry it all the way back home. And it was a long walk. So by the time they got back home, Hanish was so tired, he fell asleep and went straight to bed. And he started to dream. Now in this dream, he started to see one bow with many strings. There were 7 strings, 7 colors, just like the rainbow. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, purple. 7 strings, 7 colors. My, when he woke up, he was so excited. Oh, I know what I'm gonna make today. I have a great idea. And he went running to tell his mother, Mother, I had the most wonderful dreams. I was hearing the most beautiful sounds. And right then he heard the voice of his father saying, Is Hanish ready? We're going hunting again. Oh no, Mom, I don't want to go hunting. What am I gonna do? And so his mom whispered, Shh, pretend you're sick. And when everybody is gone, you may begin. So Hanish pretended he was sick. I don't feel good. My stomach hurts. I don't think Hanish can go hunting today, dear. He's not feeling well. So Hanish stayed, waiting till it was silent. And then he sneaked out and went to his father's workshop. Now there he grabbed a bow and all the strings that he could find, all the different lengths. And he started tying several strings to one bow. A long one, a shorter one, a shorter one, a shorter one, and the shortest one he could get. And that was the idea for the first harp. But a bow with many strings without a song box, it sounds a little bit dry. Nevertheless, Hanish went into the woods and he was hunting for sounds to make music. And with time, he realized he needed to add a little bit of a sound box to make his strings sound beautiful. And when he made music, he listened to the birds and the bees and the water. And one day he was playing a beautiful melody, the moon was out, and everybody came to listen. Those who had a headache felt better after they listened to him. And those who were sad, felt better. And his father came and said, Hanish, what is that? It's a harp. It came from a dream. And so Hanish, instead of becoming a hunter, became known as a harper. And he traveled and he played for kings and he played for queens and he played for beggars in the streets. And he played for rich merchants and he played for the sick. And one day he saw a little girl who had a twinkle in her eyes. And he said, would you like to learn? And the little girl said, yes. And so he gave her a harp. And he said, I will teach you everything I know. And that's the reason today we have harps all over the world. It was passed on from one musician to another. And they come in many sizes and many shapes. But they have one thing in common. That the music of the harp opens the hearts of people. And if you look carefully, you will notice that the harp has the shape of a heart. Thank you very much. This is one of the things that I do when I visit schools, especially after we would do a little bit of singing and dancing, and the kids get pretty excited. So I tell the story as a way to kind of calm down a little bit, and then I leave a copy of the book that I have of this story for your school, which is an illustrated book that sort of narrates the story I was just telling. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And we just got a comment also from somebody who said it was a beautiful piece. Can you tell us the difference between the Peruvian harp and the harp that we see in the United States?
Yeah, so let me just clarify. This is Paraguayan harp, not Peruvian.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're two different countries. Yeah, but people confuse the P's of Paraguay and Peru very often. So anyways, the Paraguayan harp has a very different kind of structure. It's a very light sound box. The sound box is kind of made like the way they make a guitar. So it's a very light instrument. And then the neck has is particular in the sense that the strings go through the middle of the neck. I don't know if you saw Wendy's harp, but her strings go to the side of the neck. And that's what makes it the Paraguayan harp. It's somebody designed this neck differently from what used to be on the side of the strings, and they changed it. And that's a Paraguayan harp. Now, this is what we call a folk harp, right? It's not a classical harp like Wendy's because it doesn't have the pedals that you play with, to change the keys. In a folk harp, you have levers. These little levers, you have to adjust them manually with your hand while you're playing to be able to change half steps in the harp. Otherwise, as I was telling the stories, there's whole notes and you have only one key at a time. That's it.
Where did it originate from?
Well, the Paraguayan harp is a descendant of a Renaissance European harp. It's from the 1600s. That's the time when the Spanish were traveling and conquering the lands of the Americas. In the case of this instrument, it was a group of people called the Jesuits. They were missionaries. Many of the Catholic missionaries were distributed in different territories of the Americas and started settling many new villages. In these villages, they were obviously inviting the native people of those regions to come and live and learn many of the arts and crafts and beliefs also of the people from Europe. One of the things that they taught the people called the Guarani people of Paraguay is how to play the harp. The Guarani people had never played string instruments prior to the arrival of these missionaries because they only played flutes and drums. They didn't know that you could make music with strings. So that was a whole new concept for them, but they were very versatile, and they love sounds. They were very nature people. They were very intuitive, and they had a wonderful connection to the heart with this instrument. And so they embraced it. So this has become the national folk instrument of Paraguay. I mean, this is a very popular instrument there. In fact, they beat the Guinness record with, I think, 400 and some people playing the harp together at the same time in one event. And that's a once in a lifetime record of how many people can play the harp all together.
The story of Hashish was adorable. How did you come up with that?
Well, I read in an article, it was an article about the origin of the harp and about different harps throughout the world. And I came up with, I read that the harp originated from the cultures that were hunters, because they're the ones that made strings. And so that is what gave me the idea to create this story. I also visited an incredible museum of musical instruments in Phoenix. It's just an amazing place. And they have a whole bunch of different string instruments that look like directly come from the bow that are in Africa. So many different cultures in Africa have these interesting kind of harp, bow-like instruments. So that's where the idea came from. And the rest is imagination. And
do you do different stories for different grade levels when you go to schools?
Yes, I have a story for this. This story is I mostly tell younger kids, all the way maybe to second, third grade. And then I have a story that is about a king who captures a harp player in one of his conquests. It's more like a medieval tale. And it's a little bit a take on the King David and Saul story, the harp being an instrument that calms kind of the demons in the king, because he's a very feisty king that engages in a lot of warfare. And the harp is sort of a way to calm him down and bring more a sense of peace to his kingdom. But anyways, it's one of those tales. I also made it up.
Okay, nice. Do you also do different venues like libraries or
Yes.
family programs?
Yes, I do programs in libraries all the time. Yes, and I've traveled all over the country doing these type of programs. Yes.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your wonderful talents with us today, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much, Nicolas.
Goodbye.
And before we move on to our next artist, I want to take a moment to tell you about an amazing resource we have on our website. Many of our teaching artists and our staff work together to create a virtual best practices guide. In this resource, you will find suggestions for equipment for various types of virtual programming, suggested computer programs, strategies for online student engagement, and much more. There is a technical list of equipment, and to the bottom, there is a technical list of the equipment, and that goes to the bottom of the page. We will drop that link into the chat and pass it over to Alex to introduce the next artist.
Hello. Yes, that's a really excellent guide, and there's sort of two versions of it. One of them is full of lots of tips for how to engage students virtually. So that's useful not only for our artists, but for any teachers, administrators, or parents that are at home who need some extra tips for making online learning more engaging. And then additionally, there's a very specific technical equipment guide if you are a teaching artist and you're wondering what types of software, equipment, cords, all of that kind of stuff, microphones, everything that you could possibly want to know about what tech works well over Zoom and over different types of online programs is listed there as well. I also want to remind everyone that in order to book any or all of the programming that you see today, or that you might view in some of the pre-recorded showcases from other times, you would just email us at info@aflct.org. You could also email Lorraine directly, lbrown@aflct.org, or call us at 203-230-8101. And the link to those virtual best practices guides are now in the chat. So take a look there if you want to peruse those on your own time. So I'm going to move on now to our next artist. Excuse me. We're very lucky to work with such talented and resourceful people. So thanks to everyone that was a part of putting that guide together. So next up, we have Linda Peck. Linda is a master teaching artist, presenter, performer, and theme facilitator, employing innovative practices to unpack Connecticut Common Core standards. Whether in a residency with K through 12 students or presenting professional development for teachers, Linda's programs are inquiry-based, process not outcome-oriented, use movement, mime, art, mask, math, and mindful techniques based in Asian disciplines such as Tai Chi. Physical manifestations of concepts encourage transformational learning in the classroom. Adaptive exercises involving mindfulness enhance growth mindsets and mastery of information. As an embedded theme facilitator, Linda works with students weekly and presents professional developments. Today, we get to see a little bit of what the multi-talented Linda Peck can do. Take it away, Linda.
Well, what do you think? First impressions are so important. I'm going to take my glasses off so you get another impression. When we show people what we're thinking about by not speaking, we're telling a story of our thoughts and feelings, and even our senses, our intuition is telling us about what we're hearing and what we're seeing. In fact, there are thousands of different non-communication verbal cues and signals. And there are other topics and areas like mime and sign language, American Sign Language, and Tai Chi. All of those are ways in which people communicate without their words. So today we're going to practice some nonverbal communication cues and even some mime. So let's start by slowing down our thoughts in order to find new ones, in order to be engaged and stay challenged while we're on the screen. Sometimes our eyes travel to new directions, our hearing, we hear sounds and we listen to something that's going on in the room and we're not paying attention. So in fact, a good process or a good thing to do is to slow your thoughts down in order to find them. I call it being relaxed but prepared. So let's start by doing that. Let's open up a drawer, pull your drawer out, take your thoughts and ideas in your mind, put them in the drawer and close the drawer. That's right, that's the wall. You can practice it along with me. Let's try. In fact, when you do that, when you slow your thoughts down, there's more room for more thoughts to come around. So letting go of thought in order to find new ones is a very good thing to practice, especially while you're learning on the screen, but also face to face. Let's work on some body language today. So if I were to go like this, that would mean several different things. Perhaps I'm discouraged, I'm disappointed, I'm listening to what somebody's saying, and perhaps I've even heard it before. Those are ways, they're ways in which we tell other people what we're thinking and feeling about what they're saying. We're going to practice some gestures, which are nonverbal communication ways of communicating, and we're going to do it through a fun facial expression and eye contact exercise. So let's start out with looking at each other on the screen. So when you open your screen and people are on there, generally we lean in. So if you lean in, actually your face is very big and people can't really tell exactly what they need to hear from you. So staying away from the screen a fair amount, is actually a good thing to do. And using eye contact without having to lean in the screen is very important. For example, what you do is you look to somebody, not through them. A lot of times when we're looking at people, we're looking beyond them, and they don't feel like we're paying attention. It's very important to have active listening, and part of active listening is making good eye contact, very efficient eye contact. Let's begin by doing a fun exercise where I'll make eye contact with you on the screen and you make eye contact with me. And I'm going to go off the screen for a moment, and you as well too. And then I'm going to come back.
and I'll go the other way, and then I'll come back. Now, while I was off the screen, I was still aware of being on the screen. I was still seeing your face, feeling your presence, noticing your body language on the screen, even though I wasn't on the screen. So remember that we get a sense and an intuition about people, even when we're not directly facing them or engaged with them. And that is a form of body language in and of itself. Let's do a mirror exercise where I'll do one technique and you follow me, and then we will talk about what it means. So if I'm doing this and I'm talking to you right now and I'm thinking very deeply about what I'm saying, I'd like you to repeat what I'm doing and you try to sense what that feels like for you. Do you communicate that way when you're giving information to people? Are you excited, exuberant, enthusiastic? Are you more quiet and thoughtful? If you keep your hands low, I hope you can see, if you keep your hands low in front of you like that, that's a more quiet thinking pose. There's also another thinking gesture, which is this. And if you think and your eyes go to the right, that means you're thinking a new idea. If you think and your eyes go to the left, that means you're recognizing that what they're saying you've heard before or you know about. And one way to speak back to them without verbally speaking is to shake your head. So try to remember that the way that you present yourself is very important, because if you convey information to people in a way that they can interpret it, then they'll convey it back to you in a way that is very accurate and efficient, and you'll have a conversation that fits. Along those lines, sometimes one person makes more than one gesture. They're called cluster gestures. So for instance, one person's biting their lip because they're nervous, but underneath they're pretty self-confident. Let's say you're up at bat, all right, and the bases are loaded, and you bite your lip because you're not sure whether you're going to make it. What you need to do is, like we did with the drawer, stop, blink, and breathe, or breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Let's do it as a mime. In through your nose, pull it out from your mouth. In through your nose and out from your mouth. If you can slow your thoughts down about there, you'll let go of biting your lip, and instead of being very strained, you will just press on. So remember, with body language, it's very important that what you feel and sense and think, you're relaying to other people accurately. So let's do one more mirror technique, which will be very fun for you. Let's do one that you're thinking about something else while they're talking to you. So you're looking, your facial expression, you're turned in another direction, you're not looking directly at them, but they're talking specifically to you. So they feel like you're not listening to them. That's not active listening, and you're stuck and caught up in your own thoughts. And we all have that happen to us. It's very easy to get stuck in your own thoughts, thinking about what you're having for dinner after this, and rather than what's going on in the present. So in order to be able to slow down your own thoughts, it's very important to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. In through your nose, hold it, and out through your mouth. You can even do a Tai Chi technique where you wave hands like clouds. So what you're going to do is your hands are like clouds, and you're moving your hands through the clouds like that. So as you do this, breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Remember to be relaxed but prepared. Let's breathe in and out, and in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, the way to have active listening is to be able to convey to the other person that you're not thinking about what you're thinking about what they're saying to you. So if you don't want to use your hands during that time because you're watching them use their hands or expressing their body language in a new way, you want to be open. So what you want to do is open your shoulders, not close them. You want to face maybe directly or to the side, and you want to focus on them directly. You want to look to, not look through. You want to be able to answer them from where they're coming from, not what your thoughts are. So you want to be able to integrate. Let's make an integration sign, which is the figure 8. Let's make the figure 8 together. 8 is a lucky number in China because they believe that it's a flowing number that doesn't have any openings. It's like ideas. They never stop. We always have ideas. And they come and they go, but they never stop. So now we have a better understanding of how to communicate with one another. I'm going to do a small little mime communication routine, and I'd like you to be able to write back to me eventually, or hopefully we'll have a chance to connect at some point for your school and your children and your students, what they think, sense, and feel from this. So first, I will do the drawer exercise where I'll take it out and I'll put it in and I'll close it. And then I'll do a mime. And then I'll do a wave hands like clouds. I'm relaxed, but I'm prepared. And then so remember, body language is very important. This is a sign for happy in sign language. It's quite important to know that if you're happy, you show people your happiness. So if in fact you sit there like this or like this, that doesn't show happiness. Even if you're smiling, people will get confused. They'll see two different signals coming from you or cues. Sign language, American Sign Language, Tai Chi, mime, and body language all speak without speaking. There's a way that you can communicate with people without using your words. And it's a very powerful form of communication because people are watching out for those signals and those signs. And the more proficient, the better you are at them, the better a communicator you are for other people, and the better communicators they are back for you. It's actually a mutually beneficial way to be able to have relay information back and forth. Thank you very much. I hope to have a chance to work with you for your schools. I'm Linda Peck. I work with Arts for Learning Connecticut.
All right, we have some questions, Linda.
Okay.
So it was nice to see you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
So can you tell us the 3 target areas of your program?
Okay, so I work with social emotional learning, but I also integrate some fine art philosophy, some theory of quantum physics and time-space continuum, the idea of slowing time up to figure out and find more time. It's actually, it sounds like it's controversial or contrarian, but it was actually invented by a man named Malcolm Gladwell. He talked about the idea of thinking without thinking. And so I use that theory and I try to help students find areas of thought that they haven't discovered before. And they do it through movement because everybody is very intrigued by movement. We watch speakers, and when they move around, we watch them. So it's very important in learning, especially on the screen, to be moving around. And these activities, when the teachers can do this themselves, the children can practice it. There's other ones that I have where I engage the children to slowly roll their hands up and down. I didn't have enough time to do that today, but I will, if you bring me in or when you bring me in. So I think teachers can find a better understanding of how to cultivate resilience in children, how to help them have persistence in failure, and also actually how to be able to have tools to build on information and make connections. Because if they see me making connections between mime and Tai Chi and American Sign Language and body language, then they can also, and even quantum physics, then they can see that there's a thread of connection between engineering, art, all of these thread into one another. And it's very important, especially in this world of artificial intelligence, that we learn to make these broad connections, broad and deep connections.
Definitely. Can you explain in more detail the silent portion of your program and what it speaks to children?
Okay, yes. Well, nothing, well, actually, they say that it's evidence-based that 85% of the messages that we give people are nonverbal. So when it is, we're able to communicate without words, we're better communicators of words. And especially when we're doing them simultaneously, that's high definition learning. When you're able to communicate through your mouth as well as your body, like I'm communicating with you, I'm open now, I'm not, and I'm emanating hopefully some confidence through knowing what I'm talking about. Anyway, and even if you don't, and you're authentic and honest and real, like if the teacher is asked a question and has to think about it with a child, if they don't, if they're authentic and real and genuine, and that child sees that in fact, well, the teacher hasn't prepared that yet, but she will, then they learn from her in that way, both verbally and non-verbally.
Gotcha. Thank you for that explanation. Can you give us some SEL tools as teachers to help our students and children, because there's parents here that need these too, as we struggle to transition to new learning and teaching modalities?
Yes, well.
And we do have a few minutes, so we have like about 5 more minutes. So if you want to show us 1 or 2 more strategies, that would be great.
Okay, I will. All right, well, there is, we're all having this struggle about how to relearn learning in this Zoom economy. And I know that some schools are face-to-face, but basically we're Zoomifying. So how it is we translate an idea or a thought is very important. And as you spoke about earlier, keeping the engagement. I was thinking about this question that you were going to ask me, and in thinking about it, I thought how important it is to give the students the power to express to the teachers and to you and to us how difficult it is, the struggle that they're having between not understanding some of the nuance that goes on. It's like emojis. Body emojis is what we are. And a lot of times you look at an emoji and you don't know what they're saying. And when we're on the screen, a teacher might be teaching us, or an artist, or I'm listening to you, and I might not necessarily be getting the full picture. So what I try to do is I try to listen, active listening to them. And what I do is I stop, I blink, and I breathe. It puts that space, that bubble in between the swirl of my thinking, and I can see my students in a new way, and I can see speaking with you in a new way. And what I try to do is I try to think about the struggles that my students are having, and think about my own and how I work through them. And then try to convey both through body language how I would actually work through them myself, as well as have them work through them, which we don't necessarily want to give them the answers. We want to give them the tools so they can ask the right questions. So basically that's sort of how I teach them. I'll teach them a lot of really fun, very connected integrative exercises that actually are they're very they connect the mind and the body. They're high definition learning, and they're used in a lot of forms in clinical trials and on a clinical basis. People are very interested in movement and the effect it has.
What have you been doing to keep sane you have so many different things you tell us about? What is your way of kind of
That's a great question.
Sorry, I'm throwing a new one at you.
Well, I practiced my mime. I write. I've written a few articles that I've published, and I can send them to you if you want to look at them. But and I'm always researching new ideas and thoughts. As a matter of fact, recently I've been studying the elephant brain. because the elephant brain is, you probably know about this because of your research, and you're a teacher too, and you're an adjunct professor, so you've probably learned adult learning principles and children learning principles, and you've probably studied elephant brain. But the elephants are a real curiosity to me because they learn, they're very constructive, they get a lot done, and they do it through contemplation.
Interesting.
Yes. So that's what I work with. I teach children. It's like contemplative education.
Awesome.
And I was going to
Linda. That was, yeah.
show you one more thing.
Sure.
Sure. This is actually a physical property that physics can't explain. This ring goes in that direction, and this umbrella spins in the opposite. So there are things that are not always as they seem.
Very true. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. It was nice to get to speak with you and see you virtually, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. I hope to work with you.
We hope so too. And we're going to pass it to Lorraine to introduce our next act.
Bye, everybody. Thank
Hi,
you.
Linda.
Bye-bye.
Next up, we have Leslie Elias of Grumbling Gryphons. Leslie is a playwright, actress, storyteller, and theater director who has been teaching drama in schools, theaters, and public venues for over 40 years. She is the artistic director of the Grumbling Gryphons Theater, established in 1980, and recipient of the 2003 Connecticut Governor's Arts Award. In 2011, she was recognized as a teaching artist and solo performer in the directory of the Connecticut Office of the Arts. As a playwright, Leslie has authored numerous plays based on history, poetry, environmental themes, and folklore from around the world. Her artistic mission is to provide children with an educational theater experience that is both participatory and empowering. Leslie is the recipient of the State of Connecticut Office of the Arts 2018 Arts Hero Award for the Northwest Connecticut region. Grumbling Gryphons performs in schools, theaters, libraries, museums, and festivals throughout the U.S. and abroad. Grumbling Gryphons is well known for engaging children in a highly participatory drama experience with live music, marvelous masks, and imaginative content. Pre-performance workshops and residencies in drama, storytelling, music, movement, mask making, and puppetry add their hands-on approach. Take it away, Leslie.
Welcome to the home of Grumbling Gryphons Traveling Children's Theater, a nonprofit, educational, interactive children's theater now celebrating 40 years. I'm Leslie Elias, Artistic Director of Grumbling Gryphons. Grumbling Gryphons Traveling Children's Theater is now celebrating 40 years. We're a nonprofit, interactive, educational children's theater that goes into schools, libraries, museums, theaters, throughout New England, the United States, and we've been abroad many times in various festivals.
The troupe travels the world performing shows based on myths, legends, and environmental themes. This year, Grumbling Gryphons is celebrating its 40th year of spreading joy and creativity to all children across the world.
We'll go back, back, back in time.
Let's go! Hold on!
Continuing to do this, and the Grumbling Gryphons have been a fantastic theater company, and the fact that you have been doing this for so many years and doing it so well is really a tribute to your devotion to children and to theater.
It entertains people too. It gets them like all excited from.
I'm very hyped up right now.
It helps for everybody in the school to participate in this, so everybody gets the chance to perform at each part with each grade.
Dreadful Dragon!
Oh, you're a genius.
Great. Now I have to suffer all summer long because some jerks threw their trash on my beach.
Yeah, jerks like you, the trash creatures.
Ah! Hey, I didn't do this. This isn't my fault.
Start some coffee cup, paper. Hey, now let's get out of here. It's getting a little too polluted. Hey, what? Sludges in the house. Ooh, ah. Sludges in the house. Ooh, ah. Sludges in the house. In the house, house, house. My name is Sludge, and I do not.
Don't call me a fish. No, I'm not a starfish.
Well, what are you?
I am a sea star. Ooh. Oh, yeah,
And when the bones are bare, it rises again, catching and killing all creatures that swim in its path. Yes, imagine, even whales and dogs.
What's that sound? Grandmother whale, the one old humpback.
We're all one family. Are you really she, Teppa She?
Yes, I am she, Teppa She, the spirits of the sea. She, Teppa She.
Thank you for taking the ghost net out of the sea.
We did it! Yes!
This will be a better world when fathers and mothers and principals and everybody gets into the act and helps each other. Thank you, everybody.
We're tropical fish of the coral reef. Swim with us and it's a relief. Colors, colors, colors galore. Swim with us and you'll want more. Love, 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 love.
Come on, be kids today. Kala! Now it truly is a good day. We're gonna dance our way. Everybody snap with us. It must be polyhymnia. Thank you, Tragedy. Beautiful. Everybody just wave their masks that they need. Everybody have fun. Dance, frolic. Comedy.
Tragedy.
We tell the tales of what will be. Go and help them out. Down to Hades to get Persephone. On Persephone. Yep. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on, girl. Must be a win.
I will allow you to visit your mother for a short time on Earth.
Thank you, Lord Pluto. When may I leave?
Why, immediately, but...
Immediately?
Yes, the journey is a long and arduous one, and you will need some food to sustain you.
Mercury, bring Persephone back to Earth and await my decision. Zeus has spoken.
So it was a very special day for the entire school because this only happens once a day. Once a year, sorry. So it was like different from any other day of the entire school year.
Did you make your own costumes?
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrific. Did you have fun making them?
Well, first
I like to be a leader a lot, so like what I did, I got to lead the people back to where we were, and it was really fun.
It just felt good to like entertain people. That's why I like to do sometimes. It's just fun to let all the things that you do just burst out like fire, and it felt good. And it was really fun to make, but it was also a learning experience.
And to watch these children just glow when theater is involved in their lives, and we hope that that will always continue with them and that you'll be part of that.
From this day on, frogs will lose their tails.
Oh, that slimy thing.
I know where fire is.
You do? Is this a trick treat? Treat, I'm in no mood for games.
It's not a trick. I'm not a trickster. You are.
Oh, yeah.
It's a secret.
What's
and
the
only
secret?
those that know my secret can get it out.
Never forget I, Trickster Coyote, the most cunning, the most courageous, the cleverest trickster in all the world.
We will meet again one day, and maybe you all will tell us a story.
You ever walk through tall grass? No. Walk through tall grass to my village. I cut a path to my village.
We are the Grumbling Gryphons, and today we would like to take you on a journey of the mind. So come with me, travel all the way to West Africa, where we will visit the Ashanti people. Now, today I am going to tell you a story of a very famous Spider-Man named Anansi, the trickster spider. Anansi, I am a spider. Woo! Anansi, I am a man.
Oh, man!
Anansi, I am a clever one, the smartest in the land. Oh, Anansi.
To that no good Anansi, that scoundrel. Why, just yesterday he stole into our den and ate our delectable Thanksgiving meal. What was that?
Roast wildebeest and yam pudding.
Yeah. He comes down and wakes up the seeds, and they want to grow, but they're waiting for the sound of the drum. Everybody say, grow! They're waiting for the sound of the drum. Grow!
Glub, 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 glub.
Delight in the fish of the island shore. The second show is always harder to do than the first. Why? Traditionally in theater, because you think, oh, I know it. But you gotta work twice as hard. Thank you all. You were it. You are it. And you guys were great. Give yourselves a big hand. Thank you for taking the ghost net out of the sea.
Theater is communication, really, and that's what we need more of to make this earth a better place. To love each other and to love being and love creating, and that's how we're going to bring about harmony in the world.
And we're continuing on, adapting to these challenging times with virtual and hybrid workshops, performances, and residencies. Additionally, we are known for entertaining outdoors with our fanciful parades, giant puppets, merry minstrels, and masked musicians and actors bringing joy to your community, senior centers, schools, and all over. It has been a wonderful journey of 40 years, and we hope to see you in your school or venue, whether virtually or in person, and celebrate the next delightful decade together.
That was wonderful, Leslie. Thank you so much. So many wonderful programs.
Thank you.
Well, one of our first questions is, what makes your work unique?
Okay, well, I hope that it was reflected in what you all just saw. I think, first of all, it's years and years and years of working with children and in schools all over Connecticut and the United States, constantly improving, constantly perfecting our process of participation, which is
what I pride myself on, engaging kids. I think no matter what content we have or whether it's Greek myths, African folk tales, Native American, environmental themes, I believe it's about the empowerment of children and engaging them and making them part of it. So I would always say after the show or the workshop, especially the shows, I say, what was your favorite part? And the kids would say either the whole thing or the part I was in. So I believe that the more we, especially with all the television and computers and technology, it's really important, even with just virtual medium, to make it participatory. And that we're included in a book about, we were chosen as one of the top 10 theaters in the United States for participatory theater. And there's 2 chapters devoted to the way we work with kids. So I'm happy to embellish on that if anybody has a further question about that.
Yeah, how does participation play into your work and philosophy, both during performances and workshops?
I think I'm going to take off my glass. Ask that one more time.
Okay. How does participation play into your work and philosophy, both during performances and workshops?
Okay, well, pre-COVID, we went into schools for all these years. We just reached 40 years, and we would go anywhere from a one-time workshop to a full day in which you saw those kids saying it's a day unlike any other, in which kids do pre-performance workshops in the morning. We send them mask patterns in advance. This is if you do the full gamut of what we do. And each grade level or group of kids, 2 classrooms together or 1, works with different actors and the musician, and we rehearse in the morning and maybe squeeze another workshop in the afternoon, and then the whole school comes together to perform. We also can just pick a grade level, like for instance in Hartford, they just work with grade levels through Hartford Performs. We do all schools, we do 1 grade level. Myself as a workshop artist can take any dramatic material that we have in repertoire or you're looking to explore through drama, and get every kid engaged in it. And I know for sure, we've been around a long time, and that's what my art is. I just recently attended a high school graduation outdoor socially distant party, and I introduced myself to this gentleman, and he said, "You don't know me, but I know you. You changed my life when I was in middle school. I was just a sports kid. I mean, not just, but he was an athlete, and he never thought of doing drama. And he was pulled into it, and he said it changed his life. We did a year-long play about the history of Canaan. So, and I've done the history of Danbury and gotten grants about P.T. Barnum. Any material I could dramatize, but it's not just me alone. I elicit the ideas from the kids. So whether it's a residency or a one-time workshop, I think my art is really feeling one with kids, and also drawing the teachers and administrators into it. We always put a special, if we do come back in a full physical realm after COVID, one of the things that we like to do, and that could be done virtually, I'd really up for that challenge. For instance, we have a special part for the principal to don a robe or make their own mask and take part with the kids, with the teachers. I believe in community, and I believe theater is a very healing art, and it doesn't just have to be about just being a good actor. It's about empowerment, finding your voice, and sharing.
Thank you. Briefly describe, encapsulate, and compare the different shows you have in a repertoire and how pre-performance workshops can enhance a day with the Grumbling Gryphons.
Okay, so I don't know how many minutes I have, but you see we have 40 years of material. So I think this is a new video that came out with old footage, new footage, and I've worked hard on it so that people could see that each show is like a universe unto itself. So the environmental show was created in 1990 with a top marine biologist in this state who we had to compete against other theater groups, and we were chosen, and we created a show about endangered marine life that is sadly more current than ever with all the plastic pollution in the ocean. But we don't obviously want to depress people, even though it is depressing, because
we believe that we can make a difference and make a change, and we help kids to feel that. I mean, they feel it, and they love the sea creatures. So part of the show is being, many of the grade levels are the sea creatures. We have manatees, we have kids being, little ones being seaweed and clams, and we have the oldest kids being trash creatures and doing a rap song, as you saw. And then at the end, they come together to pull the net out of the sea. That show has been going since 1990, but the Myth of Persephone started when we started in 1980 and keeps growing and developing. And I also like to do solo workshops where I can get a group of kids for years act out Persephone. So if we can't come to your school, I can coach through the virtual medium. If you're hesitant right now about COVID, which is understandable, of course, I've been enjoying translating to the virtual medium. So the other shows, I don't know how much time I have. You saw the Anansi, the trickster spider, and then we have the Native American, as well as we have a poetry show called Hold Fast to Dreams. And it's for younger kids and older kids, and we dramatize famous poetry as well as having the kids write their own poetry and weaving it into the magic.
Thank you so much, Leslie. We had a wonderful time. And now I'm going to pass it back to Alex for our next artist.
Thank you. Have a great day. And thank you for doing this Arts for Learning and for all the people showing up.
Bye.
Bye.
That was great. I've not ever seen so many of Leslie's shows in a row, like getting a little snippet of everything. So that was really cool. Thanks, Lorraine. So next up, we have the amazing Turtle Dance Music. Turtle Dance Music is a children's music company dedicated to furthering child development through arts integration, music, and educational entertainment. We spark children's curiosity and imaginations through interactive, inclusive musical performances that use a wide range of instruments, stuffed animals, games, and music technology. Our 45 to 60-minute long sensory-friendly performances are geared for pre-K, grades K through 5, and students on the autism spectrum. Our performances, their performances, are also accessible to teachers and administrators who want to have a great time with their kids and laugh a lot. Turtle Dance Music believes that your kids are capable of doing extraordinary things. So without further ado, Turtle Dance.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Arts for Learning Connecticut. So excited to be here with everyone today. This is so exciting to be here. And we are going to do some fun songs. This is from one of our, we do autism-friendly shows and STEAM shows. This is from one of our STEAM shows, so it's a little bit louder than our autism-friendly shows. But students, especially 5th grade students, are going to have the best time. So let me do this. Let me make myself a little bit smaller there. Woo! And we're going to rock and roll. Here we go. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to rock and roll here with one of our hit songs, Space, Solar System, and we're going to rock and roll. So everyone get up out your seats and start running. I want to see who's got the right stuff. So everyone start moving your bodies, and let's get up and let's dance. I'm going to talk about 8 planets and Pluto. 1, 2, 3, go! 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 Who's got the right stuff? Everyone move your bodies. Remember, change the way you move. You change the way you feel. Here we go. Let's see if you can keep up with my dance moves. Who's gonna win? Here we go. The sun is at the center of the solar system. Its gravity is greater than the rest. Then Mercury is next, it is the shortest distance. No atmosphere and craters dot the surface. Here we go. And Venus has no moons, it is a lonely planet. 100,000 volcanoes to boot. Here we go. And Earth is planet 3, in fact it's where you're standing. The only one with life like me and you. Yeah, sing it. 8 planets and Pluto, I don't know. And the sun, it's a star in the middle. Come on. 8 planets and Pluto, and the sun, it's a star in the middle. Robot, asteroids, and comets, meteors, gas giants, dwarf planets, the Oort cloud, satellites, and gas clouds. Go! 8 planets and Pluto, and the sun, it's a star in the middle. Jumping jacks, come on! Hooah! John Glenn would get up every morning and run before the other astronauts did. Here we go. Mars is the red planet because of iron. Ice cap poles, but it's completely dry there. Then there's Jupiter, like this, the gas giant. The biggest planet with a storm like an iron. Saturn has rings like a planet king, the second largest planet from the sun. Here we go. And Uranus is blue, it has 27 moons, and Neptune is the farthest from the sun. Yeah, sing it! 8 planets, and Pluto, dwarf planet, and the sun, it's a star in the middle. Come on! 8 planets, and Pluto, and the sun, it's a star in the middle. Robot, asteroids and comets, come on! Meteors, gas giants, dwarf planets, the Oort cloud, satellites and gas clouds, come on! 8 planets, and Pluto, and the sun, it's a star in the middle. Clap your hands! 8 planets, and Pluto. What is the biggest thing you can imagine doing with your life? What is your moonshot? Who wants to be like one of the 11 people who have been on the moon? Go! Asteroids and comets, meteors, gas giants, dwarf planets, the Oort cloud, satellites and gas clouds. Come on! 8 planets, and Pluto, and the sun, it's a star in the middle. Boom! Strike a pose. Boom! Now, that is one of our viral videos from YouTube. We have thousands and thousands of views, and we recently had 3 videos go viral on YouTube, which is really exciting. We did concerts with Casper Baby Pants, Dan Zanes, and when we're not doing our STEAM work today, we're showing off our solar system show, which was one of our biggest hits. We toured it through Delaware with all 33 of their libraries and with the First Lady of Delaware, and we want to show you another song here. This is our song about the sun, so let's rock and roll with this one. Here we go. Yeah, here we go, put your hands up, clap your hands, here we go, come on now. The sun is a star that keeps us warm. Wave your arms up, it's so essential to life. That's right, Nicolas, it keeps us alive. Derek, raise your arms up in the air, very good, I love it. The sun is a star that keeps us warm. Very good, Alex, that's amazing. It's so essential to life. It keeps us alive. Check it out now, here we go. Now the sun is 4.5 billion years old. It's like my grandma's grandma's grandma, or so I'm told. It's gigantic, bigger than our planet by 1,000,000 times. So put on your sunglasses, it's about to get bright. Put on your sunglasses at home, let me see you. The atmosphere is composed of 3 layers: the photosphere, the chromosphere, and the corona. And I'm telling you, son, these 3 layers are hot. It's like a 15 million degree cup of hot chocolate. Oh, here we go. The sun is a star that keeps us warm. Put your hands up. It's so essential to life. It keeps us alive. I see some students singing. Sing even louder. Here we go. The sun is a star that keeps us warm. You guys are doing amazing. It's so essential to life. It keeps us alive. We got a few classrooms dancing. It's amazing. 3/4 hydrogen, and the rest is helium. Oh, and it's not unique. In fact, it's 1 in a trillion, which means there might be other stars out in the sky that could sustain alien life and warm apple pie. Oh, without solar winds, there would be no weather. It's more than 1 million kilometers in diameter. It takes 1/4 trillion years for a galaxy orbit. This yellow dwarf star is real legit. Who can sing even louder? Here we go. The sun is a star that keeps us warm. Great job singing, you guys. It's so essential to life. It keeps us alive. Your students are doing amazing. Keep dancing, you guys. Here we go. The sun is a star, amazing, that keeps us warm. It's so essential to life. It keeps us alive. All right, we're gonna have a dance competition. Who can flossy? Flossy, who can flossy? Oh my goodness, look at all the students going. All right, who could do this one? Lean and dab, everyone, lean and dab. Who can lean and dab? Who can lean and dab? Who can take their horse down the Old Town Road and ride till they can't no more? Oh my goodness, look at all these classrooms dancing. Who's gonna win it at the end of today's show? Because one classroom is gonna win a big prize. Let's see who's gonna win it. Oh my goodness, so many students are dancing. Who's gonna do the robot? robot. Beep, boop, bop, boop, beep, boop, bop, boop, beep, boop, bop. Amazing. Incredible. Give your students a big round of applause. You guys are doing amazing. Now, we've done around 700 live streams. That is no joke. We have done 700 live streams because I studied live streaming at New York University, and I got my graduate degree in autism and early childhood mental health. So I was actually planning to live stream even before everything happened. So now you're seeing some of our programs, and Arts for Learning Connecticut is an amazing, 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 amazing place. You should email them at info@aflct.org to find out more about our programs. And we have programs about the water cycle, about science and STEM and the solar system. We have programs about ecosystems, and we have our music bubble and comedy show and our autism friendly show, which is perfect for pre-K and young children. Let's do one more song. This is our hit song, Revolution. Here we go. The planets. They are locked in a never-ending game of Ring Around the Rosie. Everyone get up and do this movement with me. Behind your computers, in your living rooms, in your classrooms, it's called Revolution. And it's happening right now. Here we go. All the moon up above. Go like this. Revolves around us like earth beneath our feet. It goes around the sun, around the sun. Go like this. The sun around the Milky Way. Very good. All the way, all the way. Go like this. Back to where we start. Yeah, Derek. Back to where we start. Amazing, Lorraine. 1. Revolution. Around the sun, around the sun. 365 days around the sun, around the sun. From the day I turned 8 to the day I turned 9, the earth revolved around the sun one time. From the day I turned 8 to the day I turned 9, the earth revolved around the sun one time. Drum! All the moon up above, go like this. Revolves around us like earth beneath our feet. It goes around the sun, around the, very good you guys, the sun around the Milky Way. All the way, all the way, back to where we start. Nicolas's class, you're doing amazing. Here we go, everybody, here we go. 1. Revolution around the sun, around the sun. It takes 365 days around the sun, around the sun. From the month of September to the month of October, the moon revolved around the earth one time. From the month of September to the month of October, the moon revolved around the earth one time. Drums! All the moon up above, go like this. Revolves around us like earth beneath our feet. Yeah, Alex, around the sun, around. Amazing, you guys, the sun around the Milky Way. All the way, all the way. Go like this. Back to where we started. Back to where we started. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's been phenomenal dancing with you today. That is my time. This is from our show Space, the Cosmos for Kids. If you want to know more information, book us now at info@aflct.org. We have songs about the moon landing. We have songs about Carl Sagan. So this is a really, really, really popular show for a lot of our school partners. And we just want to share this information with you. I'm going to make myself really big. And you're seeing I'm sweating. Students dance and they sing and they sweat the entire show. I know you want to see more. That's me taking my magic growing pills. And I am under 300-degree light. So there is a reason my body is like, oh, I need to cool you down. So that's why I'm sweating so much. But the kids are getting up and they're dancing at our Smartboard concerts and series. A lot of our schools have moved to the Smartboard concerts and programs. And they've described it as a bright spot. And they love that the students can see my mouth and they can see me dancing, and the teachers, they say it picks them up. So that is our presentation for today. If you'd like to see more of our content, you can also visit our YouTube channel, which has trailers for all of our shows and concerts with Dan Zanes and Casper Baby Pants and Billy Jonas and all the other big things that we've been doing lately since COVID. So I want to get back to Arts for Learning Connecticut, and thank you guys for letting me share this stuff. I know there's some questions that we might have for today.
Yes, there are some questions. That was great. So what is your preferred platform for live streaming? It's a good question.
You know, so one of the things that is really important is we love using Zoom and Google Meet, whichever your school feels safer using. We also have several other platforms, including Boxcast and Streamshark, if you want to just do a click and then watch a video with us live. But I love Zoom and Google Meet because you heard me doing this in the show. There's no students or classrooms here, obviously, but one thing that I've learned in live streaming that makes it so much different than a pre-recorded videos are amazing too. It's so awesome, but live streaming, it's like I'm teleporting into your classroom. It's like there's a hologram of me on the smartboard and I can talk to your students in real time. And the students, it's like our limbic systems from our brains can actually connect through our cameras. It's pretty revolutionary. So Zoom or Google Meet are two preferred platforms, kind of like what you're seeing here today.
Awesome. Thank you. Have you ever live streamed before today? I would imagine the answer is yes.
So we started live streaming in 2015. When I was at New York University, an app came out called Periscope, and Periscope is now owned by Twitter. So I looked at this and I was like, this is amazing. You could stream anywhere in the world. Now, obviously, I'm a huge believer in the tactile interaction, kids getting to try out my instruments. Nothing beats being in the classroom with the students. It's the greatest thing in the world. A live show with 800 kids. Who could beat that? But what is amazing about this technology, now that I've done over 700 live streams since April and March and everything was canceled, we do like 550 live shows a year. Everything was canceled for safety reasons. So we now are doing live streams, and I started doing like 3 live streams a day because I knew it was going to take practice. And now that we're up to this many live streams, we're doing really sophisticated stuff. We've done shows now in Australia, South Korea, in Germany, in Peru, in Canada. We had Stuart Shanker, who's one of the leading educational thinkers from Canada, on our show. And we are collaborating with musicians from all over the United States, from California and Texas and Chicago. And from every corner of the United States, we've had people, and we're making music together. So, and this is going to get really good. One more tip. Stanford is releasing something called a jack trip that choirs can use to sing together without any latency, which is really exciting. So one thing I know is that the technology is going to continue to get even better.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's opening up some interesting opportunities. And I heard something this week that I thought was cool. We shouldn't call it social distancing. We should call it physical distancing, because we're socially interacting right now. So what have been some of your best live streaming experiences?
Oh, I think the first live stream concert I did in Australia, the first 2 I did, you know, a lot of musicians from other countries and myself talk, and we're like, if this had never happened, we never would have met each other. We probably would, like, I met the Mr. Matt of Sydney, Australia, and we did a concert together. And what's really amazing, I think, and I want to write a song about this even for my children's concerts. There's a lot of stuff that's very challenging, and, you know, wearing your mask is important. But one thing I think about is how I'm making new friends from all over the United States and from all over the world who I never would have met before. Mm-hmm. And I like to think that my son Teddy, who's now 2, will one day do classroom reports with kids from Poland and from Japan and from other countries. All Zoom needs to do is put in a little translation thing, and you can do collaborative projects with kids from other countries who don't even speak the same language. That's real exciting. So I would definitely say performing with other people from other countries has been one of the exciting things about Zoom, and all the new friends I met in Michigan and Tennessee and Arizona, places I've never performed before live.
Absolutely. That's you bring up a lot of really great points, and it's a really good way to look at life right now, and, you know, looking at what we can do and not what we can't do. Can you tell us a little bit about where you went to school and your journey to where you are now?
Well, yes, I went to New York University, and I originally started out at Tisch School of the Arts studying musical theater. And then I worked at the New Victory Theater, and I said, oh my goodness, I love theater for young audiences. So I got a master's degree in theater studies and theater for young audiences. And then I got a graduate degree in autism and early childhood mental health, because I started working more with kids with special needs. And that's when I met my wife, whose brother has autism. And I just fell in love in around 2012 with the field of working with children with special needs and teens with autism. You know, even our show, Space the Cosmos for Kids, it really resonates with students who have Asperger's and who are fascinated by space, like my brother-in-law. absolutely fascinated by each of the planets, what the planets are made up of, what it would be like to land on each of the planets. So the spectrum of autism, you know, I work with kids who are more severe and are in wheelchairs, and I go to hospitals where kids, they can't really move their bodies. And then I go to other places where kids like my brother-in-law, Tim, or like people on the show Love on the Spectrum, they have like higher functioning Asperger's, and I work with those folks, and they're amazing, and they're so smart and talented. And then I just continue to learn all the time. I feel like every live stream I do, it's like a graduate degree within itself. I'm learning all these new things. Even Alex, the way you and I are talking with each other, it really takes 10,000 hours to learn how to interact with other people through this medium. And once you figure it out, you're able to share your emotions through the camera. And it's kind of, this is like, I'm learning how to be Marlon Brando. I'm learning how to do film acting. So that's the difference. And the other interesting thing, when I started live streaming, my performances are really big. I've moved my body. And what I learned about the camera was like focusing your energy into the camera. It's a very different type of performance.
Mm-hmm. I'm kidding. Yeah, we've all learned a lot. Well, thank you so much, Matt. It was really great to see what you guys do and to have a little taste. So we really appreciate it. And your setup looks awesome. So thanks again. And I'm going to pass it to Lorraine to introduce our last artist.
Thank you, Alex. Our last artist, Boogie Chillun, is a 5-piece diverse, multicultural, and multi-talented musical group that is well-versed in all styles of music. The band was formed in 1991 by band leaders Vaughn Collins and Derek Graham in New Haven, Connecticut. The band has performed in many venues and schools throughout Connecticut, Massachusetts, and the tri-state area. Some concert venues include Toad's Place, the Palace Theater, New Haven Green, and everybody knows they're a favorite of the New Haven Arts Commission. Sharing the stage also with War and Ziggy Marley. Boogie Chillun will entertain and educate fans and listeners of all ages. Enjoy the final performance today, and be sure to type any questions in the Q&A. Take it away, Derek.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to this special presentation of Boogie Chillun Live Virtual. The name of the program is American Roots Music. And we're going to take you on a musical journey through America's rich music history. From the British Isles of Europe and the western shores of Africa, they brought with them music, melodies, and rhythms. From each other's culture, they listened, learned, and borrowed styles of music that would forever transform a nation. You see, America has produced some of the most prolific, inspiring, and uplifting music the world has ever heard. From the early hymns and spirituals, to jazz, blues, country, rock and roll, all the way up to hip hop. These American sounds are being sampled all over the world today. The music speaks of freedom, liberation, and jubilation. So listen and enjoy as we take you on a musical journey from generation to generation. This is American Roots Music. Wade in the water, wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God is gonna trouble the water. Swing low and sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. We got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. Hey, he's got you and me, brother, In his hands, he's got a you and me, sister. In his hands, he's got a you and me, brother. In his hands, he's got the whole world in his hands. Let's go. Go tell it on the mountain and over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Yeah, 'cause this little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, well, this little light of mine, oh, I'm gonna let it shine. Well, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Can I get an amen over here, somebody? Amen. How about over here? Amen. Everybody in the back. Amen. 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 John was baptized. Amen. Saving all sinners. Amen. 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 Oh, yes. Yes. Those were called Negro spirituals. Some of the first American music born on American soil by the African slaves.
Let's talk about jazz. Jazz, the cool music. The music of Billie Holiday, Count Basie, Cab Calloway, a man named Dizzy, a man named the Duke, swing, ragtime too, Mardi Gras, bebop, avant-garde, and my personal favorite is Mr. Louis Satchmo Armstrong. Satchmo would take a song that maybe used to be a gospel song and turn it into a whole new thing. Here's an example of that. Oh, when the saints go marching in. Yes, when the saints go marching in, I really want to be in that number, yeah, when the saints go marching in, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. We love to read. Anybody like to read out there?
Yes. Where's the readers at? On my iPad.
Wave your hands if you like to read. This is a song called Read, Baby, Read. And we're gonna do it to the blues. Now, when I was a little young boy, around the age of 5,
well,
my mama told me
what she said.
I could be the smartest kid alive.
Is that right?
She said, start by reading, son.
Read.
Read a book every day.
Every day.
Go to school, get educated.
That's right.
They'll never take that away. You've got to read, baby, read. Yeah.
Read, baby, read.
My mama said, read, baby, read. Well,
read, baby, read.
That's the blues.
Yes.
Now, I heard some news about the blues.
What you hear, bro?
You hear about the blues, fellas?
What you hear, bro?
I heard that the blues had a baby.
Blues had a baby? What you talking about?
I heard they had a baby, man. I wonder what they called it. Anybody know?
Any take a chance at that?
Blue Baby.
Blue Baby. Blues Clues, I heard. Baby Blue.
Blue Bonnet.
What about you, D?
That's a new one.
Do you know, D?
Listen, from what I understand, they called it rock and roll. Anybody know about rock and roll out there?
Hey.
Well, we're going to do a little medley for you if that's all right. Y'all ready? Here we go.
Ready.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, trying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. Hey, go, go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Go, Johnny, go, go. Wop, baba, loo, bop, ba, wop, bam, boom. Tutti frutti, all fruity. 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 Well, wop, baba, loo, bop, ba, da, bam, boom. Yes, and the next stop on our journey, we're gonna head on up to Detroit to Motown and do some soul music. I got sunshine on a cloudy day. Ooh, when it's cold outside, I've got the mother babe. Ooh, well, I guess you said what can make me feel this way. It's my girl, my girl, my girl, talking about my girl, my girl. Ow, I feel good. Ha. Know that I would. I feel good. Ha. Know that I would. So good, so good, I got you. Oh, yeah. Hey,
Wait a minute.
fill my cup, put some water in it.
Water.
I take a sip, sign a check. Hey, V Boogie,
Oh.
get the stretch. Ride through Harlem, Hollywood, Jackson, Mississippi. If we show well, we gon' show out. Smoother than a fresh jaw skipping. Hey.
Too hot, hotness.
For the police and the
Fireman, too hot, hotness. The dragon wanna retire, man. Too hot, hotness.
See my name, you know
Who I am, too hot, hotness.
And a better problem, break it down.
Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Girls hit you, hallelujah. Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. Cause Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. Uptown Funk gon' give it to you. Saturday night we in the spot. Don't believe me, just watch.
Yeah! Hey!
Ain't it funky now? Boogie Chillun. And that's American Roots music.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Derek. Always so much fun when you're around.
Can you see me?
I cannot see you. If you could turn on your camera, that'd be awesome.
Okay, let's see. I don't know why this is not coming on. Let's see. Let's try this again. Okay. How about now?
Nope, not yet.
Okay.
It's right next to the mute button. There's stop video.
There you go. Allow Zoom to.
Oh, I see. Uh-huh.
Did it allow it?
No, it didn't allow it. I'm
Okay,
not
allow Zoom to access your camera from device menu and settings.
Okay, oh God.
No, you want to just, we can answer the questions like that. I just miss seeing you, that's all.
Okay,
All right. What made you want to share your American music knowledge with schools and other educational systems?
Well, I grew up listening to all types of music as a kid. My mom and dad, they turned me on to a lot of different kinds of music, jazz, soul, country, all that kind of good stuff. And it had such a great impact on my life. And I decided, like, let's try to package some of this kind of stuff and, bring it into the school systems and just kind of educate, kind of like where some of this music even today comes from. So I just kind of want to connect the dots with that, really, and I also feel obligated to tell the true story of American music in a live performance setting. Yeah. So, it's it's been rewarding, to say the least, because it's different doing it in the school systems than for adults. Adults love the music, but I love to see the kids' expressions and get up and dancing and all that kind of stuff, the interactive part. So, it's a beautiful thing.
It's always fun to watch the adults get up. When it's after, it's, just when it's over, everybody's up dancing.
Yes.
How does American history coincide or parallel with American roots music? What story does it tell?
Yeah, American music, it has a real rich history coinciding with the American culture from the early time periods. For instance, the early hymns and spirituals tell the story of escape to freedom for the African slaves during like the 18th, 19th century slave revolts. Songs like Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, Wade in the Water, those are actual code songs that the slaves used. So when they were hiding in the rivers and ponds and different things, they would sing those songs that kind of tell folks to hide from the slave catchers and overseers. They would also get into the buggies and, hide in there and go from one stop to the next just to kind of get away. And, it kind of took off the scent too from the hound dogs that were trying to catch them. So very, very interesting how that even came about and, the different ways that they were able to do that. Pretty creative, actually, because only between them did they know what they were talking about in the songs.
Also very powerful.
Yes. And also even in jazz, blues, rock, and soul music, they tell a story there, with joy, love, pain, and heartache. And, that was also something that shaped some of the greatest music that we hear today, because those are timeless songs that my parents grew up with, I started attaching to. It's been, American music is really powerful, and other countries from around the world, try to duplicate it or derive different forms from it. It's kind of like a foundation, basically, for other music. Yeah, it is.
How has COVID affected your ability to perform live, and what impact has it had on you as an artist?
Oh, wow. Yeah, COVID. Oh, gosh. I don't know how many venues and shows I had scheduled for this spring and summer. As you know, we had a couple that were, some really big ones there, Hamden and different things. It was definitely frustrating. It definitely, made me think to be more creative in trying to do stuff, because when you're isolated, you have a choice. You can either sit back and wallow around and be like, oh, woe is me, or get creative and do some other things that you never maybe thought of before, which, that virtual video stuff was something that we never necessarily thought about doing before. We thought about doing some recordings of different things, just regular video stuff, but something like this was something that prompted us to say, hey, you know what, maybe we can capture our performance and, hopefully be able to, get things through Zoom or through YouTube or whatever, so people can still see us. But it's been a challenge, I think, mentally for most of us, because we all like to perform live, and we miss the fans, we miss the kids, you know. So it's affected us quite a bit. But I believe, you know, in due time here we'll get back to it. Yeah.
What's your personal favorite genre of music?
Oh man, if you know me, I love the soul and gospel music, the funk music. Yeah, just for me, I don't know, it speaks to my soul, just kind of like the conviction and the truth to my heart. It penetrates that kind of music. I mean, gospel music, as you know, can be very uplifting, inspiring when singing about the good news. And soul music is just what it says. It's the inner soul of the man, deep down, man, that kind of, you know, I don't know. It's just, it's something inside that just comes out. It pours out of me personally because of, you know, some of the things, the joys in my life, you know, the music I grew up with, say the James Browns and Aretha Franklins, those kind of, it speaks to me deeply. And I love to share that. I mean, I get most expressive that way. You know what I mean? And then the love songs, man, some of them, you know, can bring you to tears, man. You know what I mean? Those powerful ballads and stuff. So, yeah. But yeah, that's for me, that's what it is. That's soul music and gospel music. Yeah, it speaks to my heart. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing the afternoon with us and putting some joy into our afternoon. And hopefully we'll see you soon and get back out there again and party like we used to.
That's right. That's right. Can't wait. You guys take care. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for putting this all together. All right, take care now. All right, bye.
And here's Alex to finish up the afternoon. Thank you, Alex.
No problem. Well done, everyone. That was just great. If you want to check out our previous 3 showcases, they are on the showcase page that we've mentioned a few times. AFLCT.org/showcase. Again, you can look at the other ones that we've had. You can skip around. We've indicated which time certain artists are, so you could skip right to it if you'd like. That's a wrap. Thank you for tuning in today. To book any and all programming that you saw today, please call us 203-230-8101 or email us at info@aflct.org.
I'm not sure why the video wouldn't start.
You guys just mute yourself, dear. Thank you so much. Our next showcase is November 5th at 10 a.m. Until 12:30 p.m. Visit our showcase website to click the date to register. All showcase events are open and free to the public and will be live streamed on Facebook Live as well as recorded so you can watch it later. We hope you have a great weekend, and while Halloween is not exactly the same this year, we hope you have some fun with your families at home. Stay safe and happy Halloween.